Hey everybody, good morning if you are here in Canada, good evening if you're going to be watching this from the UK, good afternoon if you're going to be watching this from anywhere else. Joel here from Manchester News. It's just after 11:30 here on Canadian time here in Surrey, BC. Just getting ready to have Big Steve join us to chat Manchester City. A lot going on this week. The European Super League, all the big protests and controversies going on in Manchester. I'm sure Steve is going to have a lot to say about that. We're also going to be talking about Man City's victory yesterday as they move a little bit closer to that Premier League title, their third Premier League title they are seeking in the past 4 seasons. And we'll break that down. Plus, in the midst of everything that's been going on this week in football over in England and across Europe, there is still a Carabao Cup Final going on Sunday with Manchester City looking for the first of now. It's a potential treble. Quadruple is no longer in the cards, unfortunately, but there is still a chance of that treble. So we will discuss all that, plus the sacking and dismissal of Jose Mourinho heading into that big game. So I see Steve is with us now, so I'm just going to bring him in, and then we will get this thing underway. And all right, we'll wait for Steve to come on here.
Hi, pal.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, mate. You?
Pretty good. Not a lot going on this week.
Oh, crazy, wasn't it, man? This week's been mad.
I can imagine. I mean, just waking up and watching all of the analysis on Sky Sports over here. Obviously, it's not that big over here. I can just imagine it's like 10 or 13 times crazier. Is this the craziest week you've ever experienced as a football fan?
I think when City got took over by Sheikh Mansour and we signed Robinho, that was one hell of a week. But yeah, I think the whole of English football this week has felt it. It just came out the blue. There's been, I remember 10, 15 years ago, talk of a Super League. And it was always sort of like, nah, it'll never happen. It never happened. The domestic league's too strong, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we were getting these messages coming through that they were going to announce something. And I was thinking, Manchester City are not going to announce something that size without consulting the supporters. I don't care what anyone says. I thought they're not that kind of owners. They've always consulted the fans when it comes to stuff. So I wasn't overly worried about it. And then when it came through and I'm looking on Manchester City's site and we've got quotes from Joel Glazer and people like that, I was like, what the hell is going on? Even to the point where I rang Manchester City the day after and got a refund on my Carabao Cup Final ticket. I said, not going. Shove it up your ass. Anyway, and then obviously we've done a couple of big six shows, which were really good. A couple of protests were planned by Manchester City supporters and Manchester United supporters, and what you saw was a mass coming together of football fans. They put the rivalry aside. They put basically put everything to one side and said, "Look, you can't come over here and take our game and our clubs." And no disrespect, yeah. And I know in America it's different. I know the owners can move states, they can build stadiums where they want, and they can do things like that, and the fans sort of go with it. But you can't do that in England, man. I'm telling you now, you can't do that in England because there was major protests ready to go. There was riots. There was people, sponsors pulling out. And like I did a couple of speeches on the Big Six where they came from the heart, man. You know what I mean? I've given enough to this football club for 30 odd years, and to go behind my back and all the other City fans back who stayed loyal to them when they needed us the most in the second division, and decided doing this without consulting the fans. It was a kick in the teeth, you know, and it would have been a bad move, man, a bad move. I'm so glad that we pulled out, and then I said on the Big Six, one team pulls out, the whole of it will pull out because, you know, it'd be like a domino effect, and that's what happened, man.
Well, there's like probably a million different angles that we can look at this. We could probably talk about this Super League, the dissolving of the Super League temporarily anyways, probably for at least like 5 or 6. I feel like we could have a marathon podcast about this for like 5 or 6 hours. What is, I mean, your feelings are clear, obviously, just like everybody else in regards to the Super League. Do you think there was any way any fan out there could have potentially gotten on board? Like if there was the right marketing sell on this thing, or would no matter how they put it, would this have created outrage?
I mean, don't get me wrong now. A lot of the Premier League is big business. European football is big business. So I get that they're trying to reach supporters all over the world. I get that. But you can't ditch your local supporters, the ones who've been there since day one, the ones that live and breathe it every single day, the ones that they have history and family ties and generations of people supporting them. You can't ditch that for a quick buck to create something and think that people are going to just move away. The European Cup is steeped in history. You know, there's teams won it, there's teams striving to win it, and there's people who are growing up and living a life hoping that one day they get to the Champions League, yeah? And they try to win it. To create a cup competition where you're always going to be in it, right? Regarding on how useless your team are, you're always going to be in it. There's no competition there, and I can't see how it works, because if you're 5th or 6th in the European Super League with nothing to play for because you're not going to win it, if you're playing AC Milan on Wednesday night, but then you've got a Premier League game on Saturday, what you resting? Who you resting? You're going to rest them for the European Super League, yeah? So then the league just becomes a Carabao Cup style competition where only the teams that are fighting for the top are going to put the best sides out. The rest of them ain't going to do it. So I'm not being funny. I don't know. It made me angry. You know, I'm getting angry talking about it now, because I just feel like you can't mess around with history. And that's not, I'm not talking about like, the glamorous clubs. I'm talking about this. Every single club, no matter whether you're bottom of the Premier League, League Two, League One, it's steeped in history. There's some massive, massive teams, yeah, in England that aren't anywhere near the Premier League, but they're massive. They're bigger than teams in the Premier League. And it was going to be affected. It was going to affect everyone, because the rich were going to get absolutely stonking richer, and the poor were going to get poorer. And they were basically saying, yeah, but we'll buy your best players and give you lots of money. That's not football to me. It is not football to me. You get in competitions on merit, because every now and then your team will throw a generational team up. It happens to every team. Leicester City threw a team out of nowhere and won the Premier League, yeah? They go down in history. But if you allow this competition, teams like Leicester City and that, who are not getting in it, they're never getting anywhere near it. They're not going to get near it. And it was just, it stinks of greed. It stinks of desperation from owners of teams that are absolutely skint. Manchester City and Chelsea do not need the money, right? So they should not have gone on that bandwagon. I can understand Man United doing it with the Glazers, with the debt. I can understand Kroenke and Arsenal, and I can understand Liverpool with Henry and that doing it, because they look like they're struggling a bit with the cash. But the rest of them, nah, I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Well, you talked about the history, and you talked about the different leagues. The beauty of watching English football, well, and not just English football, but European football as well, is you see different teams coming up each year, see other teams coming down. So you're playing your different teams. So, like, what's the fun as a fan, as a coach, and as a player when you're like, okay, we've got to prepare for AC Milan again this week, got to prepare for Juventus, Real Madrid again, like 2 weeks in a row. Like, wouldn't that just get dull after a while? The same team, same thing.
Yeah, it's good for the fair weather fan. That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, you got to be careful, right? Because I say it a lot, and I don't mean any disrespect to foreign fans. I don't. I think if you're a fan of Manchester City or a club and you're abroad and you're getting up and you're doing your thing and all that, that's great. No one's judging you on that. I'm not judging you on that. But there is a difference, whether they like it or not, whether they get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and they watch Manchester City on TV. There is a difference. And I'm telling you, the local fans, like you say, your granddad, your mum, your dad, you've had moments where you've named your kids after players, you've took your kids to the stadium when they're babies, you've done this, it's all a part of something. You're dedicating something of your life every week to a football club, yeah? And hoping that one day they reward you. You don't hope that one day they kick you in the teeth, because that's what happened. And Sheikh Mansour, Khaldoon, and all them have been absolutely impeccable since they took control of Manchester City. What they've done for the community and everything is absolutely unbelievable. And the trophies we've won is brilliant. But that does not give you the right, to all of a sudden decide what these mad super competitions we're going to be in and basically price us out. Because I go home and away and Europe, but I can't afford to go AC Milan on a Wednesday, 2 weeks go to Real Madrid. I can't do that. You know what I mean? So they got it wrong. They got it wrong. I've had an apology in my inbox from Ferran Serrano. He sent everyone an apology. I think it's a major PR disaster. And I think with Manchester City, they've got 10, 12 years of credit in the bank with us. So our fans will forgive this, and put it down as a mistake. Man United fans were protesting today. They stormed the training ground. All the Solskjaer to come out and talk to them about it. There was a protest last night at Tottenham, Chelsea. So listen, other fans are not going to be as forgiving as us.
Well, you talked about, that was going to be my next point. You articulated beautifully there the praise and everything that the owners of Man City since Al Mubarak came in and everything that he's done for the club over there, which has been obviously a monumental rise from a team that was struggling in the second tier of English football. And now they've become one of the big superpowers, one of the, probably I would say in the last 2 decades, probably the biggest meteoric rise of any football club around Europe. One up there for sure. Maybe like, I don't know, I would say maybe the only other one I can think of is maybe like how quickly Leipzig has developed in the Bundesliga as well. But it seems like your confidence hasn't been completely shaken in the ownership group, but will you like have this in the back of your mind? Like, will you have some questions about some of their decisions and things that they do moving forward just based off of this?
I don't think anything else they've done in the club I can criticise apart from this. But the fact that there's one thing that's making me think something legally was involved, because none of the supporters were notified. Because if say Manchester City sent out a survey to the fans, it would have leaked out, and it wouldn't have got off the ground. So I think conditions of what Perez must have put in was that nobody's allowed to be notified to this day, and then you're either in or you're out. So I kind of think they were shoehorned into it by thinking if we don't go in it and it takes off, we're going to be left behind. So I think they were sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. But, Bayern Munich didn't fall for the bullshit. Borussia Dortmund didn't fall for it. Ajax didn't fall for it. Paris Saint-Germain didn't fall for it. So I'm very, very surprised that we fell for it, to be honest. So I'm disappointed in it. But like I say, they've got enough credit in the bank with the City supporters to let this one slide. But anything else backhanded comes in the future, they'll be protesting there, let me tell you that.
You mentioned Florentino Perez, and he actually, from everything that I've read, everything that I've watched, he seems to be kind of like the kingpin in this whole potential operation, which he has also said is not completely dead, that they might find another way to formulate this whole thing. How much, you don't want to like put squarely blame on everyone else, because all these other teams did join and did confirm all of that as well, but how much blame goes to Perez and Real Madrid for this whole formation?
Well, it's very convenient, isn't it, that when Perez and Real Madrid are skint and they found out that they've been hemorrhaging money left, right and centre, all of a sudden this new idea seems great for them, because that will pull them right out of it. So listen, Real Madrid as a club have always been about one thing, themselves. They're not about anyone else. They bully all the teams into getting players. They can buy Galacticos what they want, spend what they want, and then when it goes wrong, they blame the bank. They tell the bank that it's going to go wrong. We're going to lose X, Y, and Z. They bail them out because Madrid's Madrid, and that's just the way they are. I remember Alex Ferguson saying once that he wouldn't sell Madrid a virus. So, and Alex Ferguson, he's a fair man. He probably knows more about Madrid than me. But I just think it stinks. And I just think that Perez guy, when you looked at the actual chairman, Perez, vice chairman, Joel Glazer, they're not football people for me. It looked like Crime Watch. It looked like a charge sheet from people you wouldn't trust with a £10. and it just all didn't seem set up to me. If there was footballing legends, Pele, I don't know, Pele, all ex-players, Thierry Henry, people like that behind it, and they were rolling it out and they were getting behind it, and you could see some sort of structure to it, and you could see some famous people who the fans trust getting involved, maybe they've had a better chance. But when you get a group of greedy businessmen whose clubs are failing because they don't run it right, starting up something to create a league which only benefits them is wrong.
And so with this whole situation, is there another angle to this that we're missing, or is it just kind of like how people are describing it with like Man United fans are a Glazer out? Is this just kind of like the stereotypical how people see like pure American greed sort of thing? Is that what this is, or is there another angle to this Super League besides that?
With United and the Glazers, obviously as a Manchester City fan, I don't want to see Manchester United do that well. But I'm telling you now, as a Manchester City fan and as a Mancunian, I don't think a lot of Mancunians, Manchester City Mancunians, would be happy to see what they're doing over there. And I know from speaking to City fans this week, I've never seen this in the history of going to support Man City, that they were willing to join hand in hand with Manchester United and protest against the Glazers. It's mad, man. So this is what I mean. The game, it's deep in your heart, but when you put the tribalism aside, these guys won't win. I'm telling you now, them Glazers, them Man United fans have had enough. How they never got rid of them in the first place, I don't know. But what you got to understand with a club the size of Man United, there's a mad diverse in fan base. Yeah, a lot of this fan base supporters are foreign supporters. So if you're organising a protest at Old Trafford against the Glazer, you're not going to get the numbers because they're not going to fly in for a protest. So it never got off the ground. Whereas Manchester City, there's a lot of local guys there. They'll get shit done. Liverpool the same. They get stuff done. But the Glazers, they took over 800 million, I think, out of Man United in interest payments. They're using Manchester United as a cash cow. It's like their equity. So they're doing other business deals and they're putting Man United's name in there as a bond, and they're getting away with it. But I think it's the end for them, because I've seen people today storming the ground. Solskjaer's come out to talk to him. I think it might be the end for the Glazers.
I want to get to it. Somebody on here put an interesting question in regards to James McCann, who says the UCL format is just as bad. I'm assuming he's referring to how they were going to formulate the Super League. Did the way the Champions League formulated, did that have anything to do with like the talks or the discussions about the Super League, do you think?
Yeah, well, they're changing the Champions League format. They're putting more teams in it. There's going to be more games. It's going to be like a mini league. So that's just as bad for me. They play more league games in there. Gundogan has just tweeted tonight about it, saying,
yeah, I just saw it.
It's not good. So at the end of the day, we have a product that works, the Champions League, right? So if there's a problem with the Champions League, they have to sit round the table and they have to sort that out. The UEFA's made a rash decision in changing the format of it. So then the owners have made a knee-jerk reaction and said, well, we'll start our own Champions League. And that's what they've done. And both of them are wrong. Keep the same format, yeah? Go back round the table. Don't try and mess with something that works. It's working. There's a bit of prestige about it. There's a bit of honour about it. People love the Champions League as it is now, yeah? When they start bringing in all these seeded ratings, and because Man United or because Arsenal someone won the European Cup years ago, they've automatically got a right to be in a certain seeded pot. That's bullshit for me. You get put in the pot, you're in. So the champions of each domestic league, regardless of history, go in pot one. The people that finish second go in 2, 3, and 4, and so on. Don't care if Manchester United finished fourth. They don't go in pot one because of past. That's the past, man. Well, otherwise, what's the point in winning? What's the point of being the champion of your country if you're getting penalised in the Champions League because your history doesn't match up to someone that was good 10 years ago? It's bullshit.
Yeah, and I when I think of what you've just said, it reminds me of Leeds United. We saw them with their T-shirts coming out, talking about earning it and stuff like that. That's what getting into these European competitions, particularly the Champions League, is all about. It's about earning. It's not just you're in because you have the deepest pockets. You have to still deserve it. So,
Of course you do, yeah.
so. How much does the English clubs have all backed out for the time being on this potential Super League? Is that enough to regain trust within the fans?
No, Manchester City fans, and I think Chelsea fans, I think they'll forgive their owners, and I think, like you say, it's a bit in the tank, and they'll walk away, and we'll carry on as normal. Arsenal fans are not forgiving Kroenke. Liverpool fans are not forgiving Henry. The Glazers are not definitely not getting away with it at Manchester United, and now the Tottenham fans are getting on Levy's back as well. So they've awoken them fan bases now, and to be honest, it depends which fan bases have got the bottle to take it to the next level. If they can keep up the momentum and they can drive the momentum, I think one, if not two, of them clubs will change ownership.
The other thing that I found interesting, I was reading an article on, I believe it was on the Manchester Evening News, which detailed a radio interview that Florentino Perez had done, and he mentioned that there was a team that had gotten cold feet. It seemed like he didn't mention Manchester City outright, but then they asked him about Manchester City, and I believe his response was something along the lines of, "Oh, they were never interested." Does that help sort of recurry some favor with fans who were a little bit disgusted in the ownership group in Man City?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, the mood 2-3 days ago was unreal, man. People who've been going Man City for a long, long time, who I know were disgusted with it, and they were throwing the towel in. Today, I've spoke to a couple, and it's a lot more easier now. They've had their apology. They're sort of letting it ride, but they know, if they were prepared to do that, what else is coming on the horizon? So I think time's a good healer, and I think if we just keep on going as we're going, and this will be forgot about. But they've definitely opened a can of worms with other clubs, and I think other teams now are going to see big changes.
Well, one guy who is obviously, it seems, not going to forget about this is Florentino Perez. He talks about how, maybe this isn't dead. We're going to try to reformulate, maybe give a different marketing strategy. Is the solution, in order for this never to come back on English clubs, is the solution just to put in an independent regulator sort of governing English football for this whole thing, to kill any chance of this coming back up again?
I don't think it'll ever happen. I just think that what it stinks of to me is greed. And I think with the COVID situation at the minute in the world, I think a lot of clubs have felt the pinch really hard. And I think a lot of people at the top level are now under pressure. And I think a lot of them don't know where the future lies, because obviously they've had no gate receipts, things like this. Even clubs who try to furlough staff, it's a joke. You got players on 100 grand a week, but you're furloughing the guy who worked there for 20 years, you're feeding his family. It's a joke. They're so out of touch with the real supporters. It's a nightmare. So, I mean, football is a business now. It's sad, and it is. But I just hope it doesn't go into chaos and we start, the football's overshadowed by nonsense. I want to get the fans in the stadium. We want to get everybody back. They're lucky the fans aren't in the stadium, because I'm telling you now, that would have been the biggest weekend of mass protest, pitch invasions, trouble you've ever seen in the history of football. I'm telling you now, because the country, the world is boiling at the minute. We're at boiling point. We've been kept inside like prisoners, and we've had no football, and people are not mentally right. So all it needs is a trigger. We're seeing it this year with riots and stuff. It just needs a trigger. And football, I said it, is one of the most powerful sports in the world. And when the football supporters unite with a common interest, it's dangerous, man.
So we've talked about money and greed. You mentioned another interesting point, which I hadn't thought about, which was the COVID situation. Even huge clubs like Man United in particular are still suffering tremendous losses, even despite, how much money they have poured into the club, how much money they make with, different sponsors and the amount of people around the world that buy Man United gear and whatnot. Could that be another angle to it, is just like, okay, maybe we form this thing, we can recap some of our losses a lot quicker than, when the season gets back up and more fans come in. Yeah.
There was guaranteed, I think they were guaranteed a payment or something like 300 million or something just for joining. It's weird. But yeah, you look at Man United, for example, 75,000 fans at Old Trafford every fortnight. Yeah. Think of how many, much money they take in the superstore, the ticket sales, the pies, the hot dogs, the drinks, the beers, the corporate situation, the meals, all that on a match day must be millions. And they've not had that, like everyone else, they've not had that for over 12 months. It's a lot of money. So there's a big hole in the finances there. And when you've got that on top of the Glazers, who are still taking £8 million every 6 weeks in dividends or whatever it is, you've got a problem, man. You've got a problem. City are fortunate because Sheikh Mansour has not got his finger in the pie, and he's not taking big chunks. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to do that. So we are fortunate. But them Glazers, them Glazers are still taking dividends out of a club that's got no supporters in there. They've had been hit by COVID. It's not a cash cow. And well, it is a cash cow for them, but the Man United fans now have had enough. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to take it anymore. And I tell you what, the Man City fans, who I said would back Man United fans with it. We don't want that kind of ownership in Manchester. It's a footballing city, with a deep history of helping each other out. We've had air disasters, wiped teams out, Manchester City loaned them players. We've had the war where they bombed Old Trafford and Manchester City loaned them a ground. We've had Manchester bombings. We've had things where the City of Manchester had to pull together. So the City of Manchester is not letting some guys from America with no interest in football, who doesn't know the offside rule, come to Manchester, and fucking rinse this club, rinse it out of all its money. That's not going to happen now. And I'm glad they rise up against it. And I hope the Man United fans overturn it and get rid of him.
Yeah, I think the perfect thing that I saw, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was somebody who tweeted out a former quote by probably one of the most iconic managers in Man United history, Sir Matt Busby, who talked about football is nothing without fans. That's it, right? That's plain and simple. That's exactly what it is. So
it is. And listen, and you know what? Oh, when you're young and that, you get very tribal about your team, And in your early 20s, Man United, to me, they used to take the piss out of City, wished us to get done and all that. And there's probably young lads out there now that think the same. But I'm talking from an older perspective now. I'm talking from a real perspective. I'm talking about a Manchester perspective. And at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to sit back and let any of our teams in Manchester go to the wall.
So one of the things that's been kind of lost in this whole thing, and we're kind of going to shift gears a little bit here, is the fact that Manchester City, the quadruple is no longer a possibility, unfortunately, because of the FA Cup semi-final, lost to Chelsea, but a treble is still quite the achievement. Has this whole European Super League thing taken the sting and excitement out of what could be still a fantastic season and some fantastic achievements potentially for Manchester City?
Do you know what's funny though, Joel? Manchester City are the only club I know that is being judged on a quadruple. So people are saying, you've lost your quadruple. No, but look, are you mad? You know what I mean? Come on. If you're judging our season on a quadruple, we've not got a bad season, have we? You know what I mean? So, listen, it's took the sting out of it a little bit. It's probably papered over Chelsea defeat. Wasn't good enough at Chelsea, changed the team too much, didn't deserve to win. Chelsea were a far better side, and we got what we deserved. We bounced back yesterday against Villa. We got a great 3 points, even though we were down to 10 men for a bit, but obviously they was late on as well. But no, it's back on. 3 more wins and we're champions of England again. So the Manchester City supporters are going to be over the moon. We've got a cup final at weekend. I've got a feeling he's going to change the team again because he played a strong side. So yeah, we could win that cup. And look, if Manchester City fan, any season where you finish with even if it's one trophy you finish with as a Man City fan, we're grateful for it. So from us, it's not taking any shine off us. We've just got to get our job done and get them trophies in the bank. Yeah, I'm still looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, if your season is, if people are only talking about like your season being a failure because of a quadruple, then that to me shows the kind of respect that journalists and fans have, and that shows that people obviously see them as a pretty high quality side when they're considering losing a quadruple, because I can't think of too many other teams across Europe that will consider not winning 4 trophies, especially 4 incredibly difficult trophies like Man City were up for, as a failure. That just seems rather ludicrous.
Yeah, it's mad.
So let's talk. First off, I want to touch on one last thing for the European Super League as we transition into the Man City's game yesterday with Aston Villa. How do you think, was this the biggest challenge for Pep Guardiola and his team to get his side focused on this game with all of the distractions that were going on with the Super League talks?
To be honest, I think that the players have probably been relaxed about it. They've got a job to do. They're getting paid. The top end of the club is nothing really to do with them. So they're probably just wanted a bit of clarification and a bit of an idea what was going on. I believe that the City secretaries and stuff, Ferran and Tixi, kept the players in the loop eventually. So I just think their job's to focus on the football. I think Pep came out and he did okay in his press conferences to not disrespect the owners as such, but to voice a little bit of concern. And I think Fernandinho did the same yesterday after the game. He spoke well about it. Kevin De Bruyne put a tweet out about him being a young boy in Belgium and dreaming about these big games and all that. And, and it's good to see that the players are not frightened of opening their mouth, even if it does upset their employers.
Now let's talk about the game yesterday. Before even blinking an eye, I stream the games on my computer, and usually what I do as soon as the kickoff starts, I'm usually like having some lunch or having something like just ready to cook or anything like that. I look away for like 10 seconds, and then Aston Villa are in front. Has it just been, you talked about nerves last time when City conceded early against Borussia Dortmund. Was that the case yesterday? Was just like nerves kicking things off with all the distractions? Or is there more to City struggling out of the gate lately?
No, I just think we got caught cold. Like I say, it was a long punt down the side. Stones tried to clear it. Obviously, it took a strange deflection. And then they were in. And literally, bang, goal. But what was impressive for me was that we bounced back straight away. And I talk about it a lot with you on here, about the rhythm. And the rhythm of the team, you could see it, was the one-touch passing, moving, and we created chances and we got the win. You look at that kind of rhythm and intensity there, it was missing against Chelsea, because you're taking out your best players in midfield. Do you know what I mean? You're trying to patch the team up with people that aren't playing well. You're trying to fit Raheem Sterling in. You're trying to put Ferran Torres in. Didn't work. They're not playing well. They've not got the rhythm in the team. So, business end of the season, keep with the rhythm. Don't change it, because you come unstuck, and that's what happened against Chelsea. We got the win yesterday, but he's going to, mark my words, he will change it again at weekend. And if he doesn't play Rodri, Bernardo and Gundogan in the midfield, we haven't got the same energy and intensity to win the ball and play at that one touch. Foden, he'll probably rest. I mean, Foden was unbelievable yesterday. Unbelievable.
Easily man of the match for me, like by a country mile. Even though the second half to me was kind of just sort of more of a training ground thing. I really didn't see a lot from either side. I don't remember Edison getting a single shot fired his way in the second half. It seemed like Man City had it pretty well on lockdown, even when they were down to 10 men for a short period of time yesterday. What do you think? I was touching on this, and I was noticing this yesterday with Man City's. Well, first off, I guess they've been behind more often than we're used to seeing over the past few games. Was yesterday just a question of maybe the quality of an Aston Villa, particularly an Aston Villa without Jack Grealish in the lineup? Is it just the quality of an Aston Villa is not nearly as good at locking things down as a team like Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea were really organised against us. When they lost the ball, they all got back into shape really quickly, and City struggled against that. I got to take my hat off to Tuchel there. He's got them well drilled. With Villa, they're not a great side, not on par with Chelsea. They can have their moments on the day, but it was a funny game. Like you say, you've got the red card issue. And then obviously they've come gung-ho, tried to steamroller us. We've caught them, bang, we're winning. So then they're a bit cautious. Then they get a red card. And then we just got back in the rhythm then and knocked it around and just controlled the match. It was a mad game. But listen, 3 points is all we need at this start of the season.
Let's talk about the red card by Stones. We saw Stones catch Ramsey a little bit late. Initially, it was a yellow card. It was reversed into a red card. Was that the correct decision?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's just switched off there. He's not gone in deliberate. You can see he's not put his studs into him or out like that. He's gone for a swing the ball, but he's miles away. So he swung the ball. He's not switched on, and he's caught him. So yeah, if that happened against us, I'd be screaming for a red card. So yeah, you've got no complaints from me.
And I think John Stones kind of knew right away. His first red card as well, I believe, in his entire career. I think I can't recall a time this season where Manchester City has lost when Kevin De Bruyne has not been in the lineup in any competition. Have they looked better? It seems crazy because De Bruyne is obviously, like, clearly, in my opinion, the best playmaker in the entire Premier League, arguably the best midfielder in all of Europe right now. But am I wrong in thinking that City looks just better as a team when he's not in the lineup?
Yeah, we have done. I think Gundogan plays better when he's not there. I think Gundogan, when he plays that more advanced role, I think he relishes it, and I think he plays well. De Bruyne is super, super special. And I think what happens when De Bruyne plays, a lot of our play goes through him. And I think everybody's looking for him to do something. So it can get a little bit predictable when we're trying to push it through De Bruyne. That's why he pops up all over the pitch, because the other teams are trying to stifle him, so they know it's going to him. When Gundogan plays a bit further forward, I just think it gives people a little bit more freedom. And I think that a lot of other teams feel like they can get at City with De Bruyne. Without De Bruyne, so they come out a little bit more, and we find the gaps and we punish him. But when De Bruyne's got the ball, a lot of teams pack in tight because they know he can find that pass. He can ping it left, right. So I think, yeah, maybe we just lead him into a false sense of security when we've got Gundogan and that play. And I think, it proved it, because when De Bruyne was injured, he went on a mad run, scoring all the goals. You know what I mean?
And we talked about Phil Foden. I was looking at some stats following the game yesterday regarding Phil Foden. He's been, I think, only De Bruyne has had more goal involvements this season for Man City than Phil Foden has. He's been directly involved in 23 goals, I believe. He's scored more goals in all competitions for any player at that age for Pep Guardiola in his career. I don't believe Man City has ever lost with Phil Foden. It's easy to look at somebody like Foden, I think, and just say, oh, well, he's too young, he's got room to grow and stuff like that. But truthfully, when you look at Phil Foden's game as a whole right now, what flaws do you see in his game?
I think Pep touched on it a while back, and he just said he's just doing a couple of little things wrong, which when he's asked to play a certain role, he doesn't. He's dropping a bit too deep or whatever. So, look, from an outsider's point of view, he's not doing a hell of a lot wrong. You know what I mean? He's winning games, he's scoring goals, he's getting man of the match, and he's influencing the game. And he's not playing like a youngster. He's playing like how we knew he was going to play, because Pep kept him with the team. He's playing like one of the team. So he's a fantastic player. He's got a lot of energy. I love watching him. He's dead direct. He gets the ball, and as soon as his first touch, he's on you straight away. He wants to come at you. And for a young player, that's great to see. He's an honest player. We've seen it before. He's been brought down. He stayed on his feet. And he just reminds me of a young kid that loves football, and he just wants to play every single game, give the best for the team he supported all his life. And he's living every Manchester City fan's dream right now. Every one of us had that dream on the playground. Obviously, I'm about 10 stone off that dream. But, we all have that dream, and he's living it. So we're living it through him. But, yeah, he's been absolutely fantastic this season. Brilliant player.
And he could very well also be living through English football dreams coming up with the Euro this summer. I think he's got to be very high on Gareth Southgate's list for players coming up with the upcoming Euro. And by the way, Gareth Southgate was in attendance, I believe, for yesterday's game from Villa Park. John Stones, not the greatest of days. He got caught out a little bit, missed that challenge in the opening seconds of the game, got red carded. How much do you think moments like John Stones had, even though, he's had an incredibly solid season, but do you think one or two little moments, weak moments like that can really make or break someone's selection for a Euro or a World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to the Euros 100% because he's had a great season and he's been one of the best defenders. But he does have an issue sometimes. All through his career, he's had an issue with concentration. This season, he seemed to have put that to bed. But last few games, there's been slight things creeping back into his game. Maybe he's a bit tired, don't know. But maybe he just needs a kick up the arse again. Maybe he needs someone like Diaz or Pep to pull him to one side and say, look, come on now, you've had a good season. Don't spoil it near the end. Get involved. And I mean, some of the mistakes he's made have not been major, but they're just daft mistakes, you know what I mean? But he's had a great season, Stones. I think no City fans would have blinked an eyelid if we'd have sold John Stones in the summer. But he's came in. He said he's fighting for his place. Him and Diaz have obviously struck up a great partnership. He's managed to push Laporte out, which we never thought. And, he's had a great season. But we're very fortunate that we have Aymeric Laporte there to back it up. And Nathan Ake is not the greatest, but, he's better than a lot of your players.
One thing that I think kind of goes unnoticed with Man City this season is that, with a team that is so good at locking it down when they have the lead, they're not a bad team when they're trailing either. It doesn't surprise me when I see a team like Man United being able to come back as much as they are, because they're very much sort of a down the middle, a very direct team. They don't play the same exact way as Manchester City. Is it surprising, given the way Pep Guardiola likes to play with the technique, finesse, kicking the ball around a lot? Is it surprising to you that they're able to come back in these games and that they don't really change their style, from what I'm noticing anyways?
No, because, I mean, when you play like us and you play quite high, you can get caught out cold and you can concede. But if we stick to the philosophy and we don't change our game plan to suit teams and we don't panic, we'll always get through. You know what I mean? We'll always get where we need to be. And I think with that, we are a good side. You know what I mean? We can beat anyone in the world on our day. It wasn't worrying me when Villa went 1-0 up. I don't get too worried about it. But like you say, we do seem to do all right when we there's certain teams you can't break down. Like United, they're one of them. They got the goal and then bang, that's it. It's going to be a hard day at the office trying to break them down. Same with Chelsea. They got the goal and you seen the way they were set up and you thought, you know what, this is going to be tough, especially with not your best players on the pitch. But I reckon with our best players on the pitch, if we went 1-0 down, even 2-0 down, I think once we got into our rhythm, we could pin anyone back.
Let's look ahead now to the Carabao Cup final coming up on Sunday. How do you see this game shaking down between Man City and Spurs?
Obviously, it's a cup final. Anything can happen in a cup final. You know, we've been there before. I don't believe in favourites for cup finals. I think, you know, everyone's got that dream. Every player wakes up the morning of a cup final. If they play to the best ability, they can win it. The Tottenham's just lost a manager, so you know, you could get that little manager reaction where certain players, you know, play with a little bit of freedom. They won the other night, and I noticed that. On paper, probably should beat them. But if Pep changes the team again and then disrupts the rhythm, it might be a tough game for us. I just hope let's just get the cup in the bag. But we've got Champions League coming up and stuff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's Premier League he's on about. He's the most important for him. He wants to win it. So I expect changes. Excuse me. I expect changes. I think we've got enough, though, to get over the line.
I'm pretty sure. It seems to me that Guardiola, I remember him mentioning the other day about the Premier League is the most important thing, but he sort of downplayed the Carabao Cup as something that is, it was a few years ago, I read a quote of his where he said the Carabao Cup can potentially be a waste of energy. He says you get very little credit for winning. Is that how fans see a competition like this and players, do you think?
Well, the thing is, all these rival fans that are quick to take the piss out of the Carabao Cup, yeah, if they was in it, it'd be the biggest thing they've ever been to. So I don't buy it. At the end of the day, there's 90-odd teams in the English football pyramid at the top, and I believe all of them would love to be where we are on Sunday. So I think it's this modern thing about fans trying to downplay trophies. But listen, it's a trophy. It's a major honour. These teams who have only ever won one of them in their lifetime, and they live off it. And these teams who have never won it in a lifetime, who'd love to win it. So, listen, it's a trophy, and it's a cup final, and it's a great day out when you can go there. And the players get, you know, it's a League Cup. It's a trophy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I understand what Pep's saying. You get ridiculed for winning. Well, in the modern game, you do, because it's all about the Champions League and how many Premier Leagues. I've told you this before.
Yep.
Pep Guardiola can win everything in England like he did. Didn't get the credit for it. What apparently wasn't the Champions League. But if we win the Champions League this year, you mark my words, what they'll be saying is you didn't win the quad. So it's a load of nonsense.
Yeah, it's kind of an unwinnable situation. Like, no matter what they do, even if they would have gone like an Arsenal run and gone undefeated throughout the entire season, they would have been like, oh, well, you should have won every single game. Like, that's just kind of the bar and the standard that's been set, right?
The Centurion season was better than the Invincible season. Look at the points total. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It's about points. You win the league with points. You know, you could draw every single game in the Premier League and you'd be relegated. So it's not about that. It's about what you know, the points. Yeah. Another thing is, I've got a picture of me stood with every single domestic trophy in England in front of me, all with blue and white ribbons on. It's never been done in the history of football. So for me,
did you steal that from the Manchester Museum? Did you steal that from the Football Museum? No, or did you take a picture in front of there?
Yeah, Manchester City actually brought the trophies to the supporters club and set them up so you could go and have your picture with them. It was a fantastic. It's actually on my Instagram page, I think. So if you search down low enough, it's on there. But brilliant picture, and that's fantastic for me. You know, as a Man City fan growing up, dreaming of trophies, any trophies, to win them all like that is fantastic. And I don't take any trophy for granted. I'm not one of them people. I think it's great. You know.
Yeah, and any football fan that ever, whether you're from around England, anywhere across Europe, here in Canada, the United States, if you're going to check something out and you want to visit Manchester, if you're a football fan, definitely the Football Museum over there in Manchester is quite the sight to see. Like, so many fun interactive games to play, the pictures with the trophies, it's just the BBC thing with Gary Lineker, just so many incredible things to see over there, and it definitely a must-see for any football fan.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's a good place, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other thing that's kind of been lost in this whole European Super League talk from earlier this week is we touched on it. Jose Mourinho is no longer the manager at Tottenham. Did that come as a surprise to you?
Yeah, obviously I'm on the big six with Toby, and they can't stand him. So Tottenham fans he's lucky that there's no fans in the stadium because he's getting away with it. But yeah, I think Jose's time in football is done. I think he had a break after United. He dragged Manchester United down. The atmosphere around the club stunk. I think his football stunk. I think he had a bit of a break. I thought he might have come back a bit dangerous. I thought he might have been a bit refreshed, come back with some new ideas. He came back exactly the same. Stunk the joint out at Tottenham. Fans can't stand him. Football's boring, unpredictable. And yeah, I think it's time. It was time for him to go. I don't think they wanted to let him win the cup. If he won the cup, then he might have got a bit of a stake. But I think they just got rid and clean slate. But yeah, Jose Mourinho, it's sad because, you know, he was a great manager and what he's done in the game is unbelievable with Porto, Inter Milan and all that. He done the business. But I think football evolves and it comes at you fast. And I think you've got to go with it and you've got to embrace different methods and you've got to embrace different tactics. And if you stay stubborn to your old styles, you get left behind. Arsene Wenger was exactly the same at Arsenal. He came in, he revolutionised the game in England, and then he stuck to his guns, and then the game bypassed him. And then for the last 5 or 6 years after that, he was just, you know, towards the end, it was sad. And it's the same with Mourinho. And that's why you've got to give it to Pep Guardiola, because they blamed him for the ticky-tacky football. People got onto that. Then he started playing out from the back. Then he started doing the false nines, no strikers. Then he started playing fullbacks in midfield. So he's always evolving and trying something new in the game because, you know, that's what you need to be successful in this modern football.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you pretty much articulated everything I was going to say about Jose Mourinho. Still, probably he's going to go down, whether he doesn't manage another game or not, he'll go down in Premier League history for sure, in football history for sure, as an iconic manager and just an iconic public figure as well. Like it was actually crazy this week that, you know, in any other time when there wasn't talks of super leagues, it would probably be the front page was the dismissal of Jose Mourinho because he's just such a giant in the game. Do you think Jose Mourinho could potentially go somewhere else? We know he had a really tight relationship with a lot of his players at Inter Milan. We know, you know, usually after Euros, we see managers either get dismissed or we see them often quitting after things like that. Could you see him in a managerial role, maybe with a national team, be it with Portugal or somewhere else, or maybe going back to Italy or another European league? Because I don't see Jose Mourinho coaching for like doing what Sam Allardyce does and coaching for like a lower division team. I think he's beyond that. Do you see him managing a big national team perhaps?
I think Jose Mourinho needs to fall back in love again with football. I think he needs to. He came to Manchester United. He didn't want to live in Manchester. He stayed in a hotel for his whole time there. So he missed his kids and stuff. He got the Tottenham job, fair enough. He's not been happy there. I think Jose Mourinho has to do what Jose Mourinho's happy. So if he wants to live in Portugal, then maybe go back to where it all began and take someone in Portugal and go to training every day in the sun. Enjoy your kids at night when you come home. You know, live a better lifestyle and enjoy your football again. And I think you'll get a better Mourinho. I just think, looking at him from an outside in, I think Mourinho at the minute has fell out a bit of love with football. I think the special one is no longer the special one. And I think he needs to go where he's more happy and he's got good people around him. And then, you know, I wouldn't dismiss it and think Jose Mourinho is never going to come back again because that'd be foolish. I just think he needs a break and he needs to go somewhere where he can enjoy his football again for me.
We know that having a new manager in place can have varying effects, positive or negative. We've seen that. The proof is basically what we've seen with a couple of different managerial changes, I think, in the Premier League this season. We've seen it be turn into an instant success with Thomas Tuchel and everything that Chelsea's been able to accomplish. And then we see the opposite when Slaven Bilic was dismissed earlier this season at West Brom. I haven't seen anything different. I haven't seen West Brom do anything differently or accomplish anything else under Sam Allardyce. With Ryan Mason, 29 years old, the youngest manager in Premier League history, what kind of impact do you think this is going to have for Spurs heading into Carabao Cup final?
Well, it's a free shot for Spurs. You know what I mean? He's probably going to go out there, set his side up, and if he loses, everyone will say, "Well, we expected it." If he wins, they'll say, "Wow, what a fantastic achievement!" So it's a win-win for Tottenham. You know what I mean? They're going to go out there, they're going to put the team out. He's obviously been around training and that, so he knows the players. And they got a good win the other night against Southampton after being behind. And yeah, I think you never know what reaction's coming.
In fairness, though, like how many goals have Southampton given up this season? And I don't know. It's hard to assess just off of a game from Southampton, given the margins of their defeats. And don't get me wrong, Southampton has, over the last few years established themselves as a solid Premier League side. But it's one game. We'll see what happens coming up this weekend with Tottenham. Do you think that bringing in somebody like Mason this late into the season, can that throw Man City and Pep Guardiola off a little bit? Because it's a different manager. You might think, okay, what sort of tactics are going to be different, and you don't know anything about Mason and how he manages. Can that play into Spurs' hands and they can maybe cause a surprise?
Maybe, but I think Pep's got the tools to adapt to anything they throw at us. I think you'll look at the bench. If he plays a change side, the bench will be fantastic, and I think we should have enough to get through it. But I said that about Chelsea last week, and it proved me wrong. So look, I'm just going to go. I'm actually on the Don Robbie channel, Robbie from Arsenal TV. He does a watch along on Sunday, so I'm actually on there with Tottenham Toby from Tap In TV, and I'm on there with Expression. So it should be good. 2 Tottenham fans, 1 Man City fan, middle of London. What can go wrong?
Are you still? You said earlier that you got a refund for the Carabao Cup. Are you not going to be going to Wembley this weekend? No.
We had to take COVID tests a few days before. We had to take a COVID test on Saturday before the game. We have to go on a special coaches or trains. And to be honest, after I give up the refund, I missed my deadline for COVID tests. So I got invited on Don Robbie channel. It's a great show. It's quite a big show in England, so a privilege to go on it. And I'm going to go on there. So yeah, I'm sticking to my guns. I said on the Big Six that I wouldn't be giving them my money. I'm not a hypocrite, so I'm not going to go back on my word. I'm just going to go and watch it with a watch along down in London.
Looking at the lineup, some of the lineup news that we know is for sure set in stone. We know Guardiola said that he's going to start Zach Steffen in goal. No surprise there, I don't think. John Stones won't be available because of his red card suspension. Do you think that hurt? We saw him come up big. I think he scored his first goal in at least 2 or 3 years in the semifinal against Man United. Does the loss of John Stones hurt this team at all heading into the final, or do you think he wasn't even going to start to begin with?
Well, there's Laporte's there, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Is he suspended from it? I don't know how it works with him being a red card.
I think he's got a 3-match ban, and I believe he could play. From my understanding, I think he could play in the Champions League coming up against PSG next week, because the suspensions in Europe are different from England. But I think England, any sort of English competition, from my understanding at least.
Yeah, well, he's going to be disappointed, isn't he? Obviously, he wants to play a final. But look, Pep probably change it about. He'll probably change it about.
And one of the other thing I want to touch on before we just wrap up here with a couple of questions I saw in my little box there is perhaps one of the biggest surprises and disappointments this season for Tottenham Hotspur, which we haven't talked about, is Gareth Bale. Does he just not? Is he just getting up? Has his game just deteriorated over the past few years, or is it just he doesn't fit into a team that's got great strikers in Son and Harry Kane right now? Why has he not been able to find his form with a new team?
I just think he went stale at Real Madrid. I think he was out there enjoying his life. You know, he didn't get on with Zidane a few times, and I think he probably fell out of love with a bit of football. He's come back to Tottenham. It's not worked out for him 100%. He's not had as many games as he would like. I think Bale's finished with football. I don't think he's got many years left in him now. I don't think anyone's going to touch him. Another one on the Mourinho stand, someone that probably needs to fall in love again with football. But when he got back to Spurs thought it was the next saviour. Gareth Bale's back. We're going to save us. We're going to win the league. And it's not worked out like that unless he scores a screamer at weekend and wins them the cup.
How much pressure do you think is on? I obviously, the Carabao Cup is not the one that everybody talks about, but Man City still has a chance to make history. I believe if they win, they'll draw even with Liverpool for most Carabao Cup victories, and I believe they'll also draw even with Liverpool for the longest run, because this would mark their fourth consecutive. Can that kind of pressure get to a team like Man City going into the final?
No, I don't think it will. When you've been on title runs and you've been on, like you say, Centurion runs and chasing Liverpool down and formidable seasons and stuff like that, I think the pressure's not there. I think they won't be thinking about it. They'll just take it every game as it comes. It's another final, and they'll just got to get over it.
Yeah, I want to touch on, before we wrap up here, there's a few interesting fan questions, which is this is the first for me. I don't think I've had any people want to chime in with some questions. So there's one from, I think it's Kadar Othman. I'm just going to put that up on the screen here. Do you think Jesus is on Cristiano Ronaldo level? What are your thoughts on him?
No. Ronaldo's a freak of nature. He's a great player. Jesus is a young guy. You know, I almost couldn't
say that with a straight face.
I know people want to ask the questions. No, he just wants to be he's a good player for Man City. He's only young. He's doing what he's doing. I don't think he's ever going to be on Ronaldo level. I don't think there's many will ever be on Ronaldo level. But at the end of the day, Jesus, he's an important part of Man City, and he's doing all right.
But he is pretty close to getting on Firmino level, because I believe he needs one more goal to hit the 50-goal mark in the Premier League, which would make him tied with Firmino for most goals in the Premier League by a Brazilian. So he'll be on somebody's level eventually. You got to think he's going to score a goal at some point between now and the rest of the season. So
yeah, he'll eclipse him.
Yeah. All right. I got one from K-Wash here who says, do you think that you can still win the Champions League after losing the FA Cup to Chelsea?
Yeah. I think it's that Champions League, it's them games, you've got to be up for it. I think the players are up for it. I think Pep's up for it. So Champions League this season, I think we're going to win it.
All right. And from Charlie Berry here, would you give the Premier League, I guess, to United right now for the, is Man United I think he's trying to say, is Man United going to get a Champions League spot? It seems they seem to have a pretty good cushion. Is there a chance Man United doesn't get a Champions League spot? No,
they'll get in the Champions League. They've had a good season.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Steve, that's all that I have for you for today. What do you guys have going on? I'm sure maybe more Super League stuff, talking Carabao Cup. What are you guys going to be talking about coming up in the Big Six podcast?
Yeah, we've got the Big Six tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Obviously, we're going to have all the week's news, so probably touch on Mourinho, the collapse of the Super League. We're going to look ahead to the Carabao Cup Final. Proves to be an interesting show. And then, anyone that's interested, I'm on the Don Robbie channel Sunday for the Carabao Cup Final with 2 Tottenham fans. Could get interesting. Yeah, tune in if you want to see fireworks.
A lot of great stuff to touch on in what's going to be a busy next few weeks for Manchester City. You can also follow me at Joel BB on here if you guys have any comments or any suggestions, things that you would like me to touch on for future shows with Steve. Feel free to reach out to me. This is going to be on my YouTube channel as well, Joel LaFave. And of course, you can also follow Sportsmole. I just started working for them, doing some preview articles for upcoming games. So I just finished doing Major League Soccer games, including City's team that they own, New York City FC, who were playing their second Major League Soccer game coming up this week. There's Ligue 1 games that I'm going to be doing. So like you, busy time for people in the world of football. So very much looking forward to that. Steve, thanks again for doing this, and we'll talk again soon.
No problem, pal. See you soon, mate.
Cheers.
Bye, Joel. Bye.